A young, unhoused black girl stumbles upon an iPad and resolves to return it. When a cunning repairman tries to keep it, she risks everything to retrieve the owner's contact. Her call connects her with a wealthy tech CEO whose autistic daughter relies solely on the iPad for communication. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he orchestrates a complete transformation of the girl's life, igniting an unending wave of compassion born from a single courageous act. Before we delve into this poignant tale, let us know where you're tuning in from. Your insights are invaluable to us. 12-year-old Kira hunched low beside a massive rusted dumpster, nestled behind the Goodwill Market discount grocery in Sunstone City. This was a forgotten stretch near the venerable docks, perfumed by the scents of fish and salt. Her palms slicked with sweat, her fingers quivered as she sifted through discarded plastic and damp paper, desperate for even a morsel of sustenance. The biting stench assaulted her nostrils, yet Kira was accustomed to it. This was the lingering aroma of countless empty nights and the relentless gnawing hunger that devoured her insides like a predatory beast. For years, the unforgiving streets had been her education, molding her into a resourceful, silent, and invisible presence. After her mother succumbed to illness, Kira found herself without a home, dwelling in Sunstone City's ancient dock district, a sprawling port metropolis where shimmering skyscrapers pierced the distant sky. But these forgotten alleyways offered only chilling gusts of wind and the putrid odor of decaying fish. The public welfare system, underfunded and overburdened, provided scant assistance for children like her. Just 3 weeks prior, this very dumpster had yielded a half box of expired, yet perfectly dry cookies. Today fortune did not favor her. All she unearthed were soiled diapers and crushed soda cans. Kira sighed, turning to depart, her bare soles scraping against the scorching gravel beneath the summer sun. Each step was a fresh wound on her toughened feet. Pain was her constant companion, a dull ache that served as a persistent reminder of her precarious existence. As she attempted to slip away, something glimmering caught her attention. A rectangular object lay partially concealed beneath a moist piece of cardboard. It shimmered. Intrigued, she stooped and extracted it. It was smooth, cool to the touch with a dark screen and a metallic silver back. An iPad. Kira had never before held such a device. It felt profoundly alien and immensely valuable in her small, grimy hands. A thought sparked within Kira's mind, swift as lightning. The iPad remained intact. Her mother's words echoed in her memory. If you discover something lost, you must return it, Kira. It is the honorable thing to do. Lying to her mother had always felt like a profound betrayal. Even now, years after her passing, her mother's voice remained Kira's strongest moral compass. This principle, ingrained since early childhood, had become Kira's unwavering guide. She decided against selling it. She yearned to ascertain if it functioned, if any information could lead her to its rightful owner. She cradled the iPad close to her chest as if it were a solemn promise to her mom. It was a silent pledge, a testament to the person she fiercely clung to being, despite the brutality of her life. Kira possessed an inherent intellect and an unusual avidity for learning. Before her mother's passing, Kira consistently excelled in her class, particularly in mathematics, and displayed an astonishing reading speed. She often spent hours fixated on store signs, discarded newspapers, or tattered books unearthed from dumpsters. Each new word acquired was a minor triumph. Her mind, though malnourished, yearned for knowledge, a quiet defiance against the illiteracy that so often plagued street life. The following day, with unwavering resolve, Kira ventured to Mr. Miller's shop, a phone repairman operating from a small wooden booth, wedged between 2 yellow school buses. Mr. Miller, a middle-aged man with a grizzled beard and a shrewd gaze, raised an eyebrow when Kira presented him with the device. His eyes swiftly appraised the iPad, then Kira's soiled attire. "What did you unearth, child?" Mr. Miller inquired, his voice casual, yet his eyes calculating. "You wouldn't even know how to operate this. I could sell it immediately. Hand it over. I'll sell it for you. We'll split it 50-50. You could acquire so many meals with that sum." He extended his hand, fingers splayed like talons, poised to snatch the iPad. His words were a powerful temptation, a direct assault on the perpetual hunger she battled. Her stomach rumbled, betraying her, but her conviction held firm. Kira recoiled, clutching the iPad tightly against her chest. She felt a powerful emotional pull. No, it's mine. I discovered it. I intend to return it to its proprietor. The image of her mother's benevolent, honest face flashed before her, fortifying her determination. Mr. Miller chuckled. What will you accomplish with it? That individual at the flea market would pay handsomely for this. He shrugged, but his gaze remained fixed on the iPad, a look of unadulterated avarice. Well, let us see if it even functions. You do not resemble someone who possesses an iPad, more like someone who roams about scavenging. From where did you pilfer this? The accusation stung, a familiar taunt reminding her of how society perceived her. But she would not allow it to deter her. I did not steal it, Kira retorted, her voice slightly tremulous but imbued with newfound resolve. She met his gaze directly. I found it in a dumpster. I merely wish to ascertain if it functions so I can return it to them. Mr. Miller accepted the iPad, plugged it in grudgingly, then slammed it onto the table. The Apple logo illuminated as if by magic. Kira's heart pounded in her chest. After a few minutes, the screen transitioned to the lock screen. A background photograph of a small white girl with curly blonde hair and a crown, grinning on a playground. Below it read, if found, please contact my father. +1 55559876543. Reward for return. Mr. Miller observed the phone number. A spark of avarice ignited in his eyes. A local number, he murmured. Huh. This could be valuable. He unplugged the iPad and swiftly secured it in a drawer, locking it. I shall need to retain this to verify its origins. You may go home. I will inform you when I have information. He shooed Kira away like an bothersome insect. His dismissal felt like a physical blow, a confirmation that her trust had been mislaid. Kira was stunned. She felt an acute injustice, a sharp pain piercing her heart. But the number. I just require the number. Her voice was steeped in resentment. Mr. Miller sneered. Could be a fraudulent number. Be off or I shall summon the authorities. He turned his back, occupied with another phone. His threat was a chilling reminder of her vulnerability, of the power he wielded over her. Kira stood motionless. The iPad was locked away. The portal of hope that seemed to open had violently slammed shut before her. But she could not surrender. Despair morphed into fierce determination. That phone number represented her sole opportunity to do what was right. She clenched her fists, her nails digging deeply into her palms. The choice was stark: succumb to hopelessness or contend for justice, for the solemn promise she had made to her mother's memory. That night, Kira returned to Mr. Miller's shop. She concealed herself in the shadows, waiting. After he locked up and departed, Kira deftly slipped inside. The back door was ajar. Within, everything was shrouded in absolute darkness. Her heart hammered. She tiptoed, searching for the drawer containing the iPad, and swiftly transcribed the phone number, fearing Mr. Miller's imminent return. She tucked the slip of paper into her pocket, retrieved the iPad and quickly departed. Her breath was ragged, her chest heaving, overwhelmed by intense apprehension. Every shadow seemed to stretch, every creak of the floorboards amplified her dread of being discovered, but the image of the small girl on the iPad propelled her onward. Kira raced directly to a deserted alley. Throughout the entire day, she had indefatigably collected recyclables to amass sufficient funds for a phone call. She located Mrs. Santos, an elderly woman who frequently shared her meager earnings from selling trinkets at the market, and requested a coin for the public telephone. Go on, little one, Mrs. Santos said, pressing a quarter into Kira's palm. Do what is right. It always returns to you. Finally, with abraded hands and an exhausted body, Kira reached the antiquated public phone booth hidden in a dim alley. Her fingers trembled as she slowly dialed the number she had copied. It rang 3 times. Hello. A calm male voice responded. Kira hesitated. Hello, this is the father of the girl in the iPad photo. There was a pause, then a cautious urgency. Yes, this is Mr. Arthur Reed. Who is this? From where are you calling? Arthur Reed, a man whose existence revolved around precision and control as a highly successful tech CEO, was instantly on alert. His daughter Lily's iPad was far more than a mere device. It was her lifeline. Kira took a deep breath. My name is Kira. I discovered your daughter's iPad in a dumpster in Sunstone City. A gasp of profound relief erupted from the other end of the line. "Oh my God. You found it? We have been searching for weeks. That iPad means everything to my daughter. She is only 7. Lily has innate autism and tragically lost her mother at birth. This iPad is her sole means of communication." Arthur's voice, usually steadfast, fractured with raw emotion. He had endured countless sleepless nights, searching desperately, feeling the immense burden of his daughter's silence without her primary form of expression. "Yes, sir," Kira replied. "I located it behind Goodwill Market. It has a black screen, a silver back, and the photograph depicts a small girl with curly blonde hair wearing a crown, laughing on a playground. Her name is Lily. Your phone number was on it." Arthur took a deep breath, a sigh of profound solace. "That's it. That is precisely it. You did not sell it." "No, sir," Kira affirmed, her voice resolute. "My mother instructed me to return lost possessions. I could not keep it." Her words were unadorned, yet they carried the full weight of her integrity, a principle she fiercely upheld even when it jeopardized her safety. Arthur's voice was choked with emotion. "You are a remarkable girl. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Can you tell me your location? I shall come immediately. I will contact the police so they can verify the information and assist me in arriving safely." Kira promptly provided him with the address of the public phone booth. Kira hung up, her heart swelling with hope. For the first time in a prolonged period, a different sort of warmth diffused through her. Not from the sun but from the simple act of doing what was right. As soon as Kira concluded the call, she heard hurried footsteps approaching from the end of the alley. An old pickup truck skidded to a halt. Mr. Miller leaped out of the truck, his face a tableau of malice and triumph. He had just discovered his shop had been burglarized via newly installed security cameras. His gaze locked onto Kira, then descended to her hand, where she still clutched the slip of paper with the phone number. "You're here, you scoundrel. Thought no one would know, did you? You stole from my establishment and then dared to use someone's phone to report it," he snarled, pointing at Kira. That's her, officers. This girl just broke into my store." A patrol car had been summoned earlier due to the store's alarm. Flashing blue and red lights illuminated Kira directly. 2 officers rushed forward, roughly handcuffing her. Extreme terror engulfed Kira. She was pushed into the back seat of the police car, sirens wailing into the night. Kira was transported to the local police station, confined within a cold, damp cell. The harsh feel of the handcuffs, the frigid steel, served as a stark reminder of her powerlessness, a painful echo of all the time she had felt unjustly accused or disregarded. Inside the interrogation room, a stern-faced detective with weary eyes leaned across the table. "All right, kid. Let's hear it. Mr. Miller alleges you broke into his shop and absconded with this iPad. Are you part of some crew operating on the docks?" Kira shook her head, her voice barely a whisper. "No, sir, I found it. I merely wished to return it. I swear." She explained everything, her narrative detailed and consistent, despite her trembling voice. The detective's initial suspicion began to wane. In the cell, time dragged. Night dissolved into dawn. Then dawn slowly yielded to noon. The cold permeated her very bones. Hunger gnawed once more. But the fear was even more profound. She huddled, hugging herself tightly. Every external sound startled her. She wondered if Arthur would believe her, if he would come. Each passing minute was an immense weight, fueling her anxieties. The trust she had placed in a stranger felt incredibly fragile now. Finally, the click of the lock resonated. The door opened. Arthur Reed, his face etched with worry, anger, and the deep exhaustion of a sleepless night, entered with a local lawyer. He looked at Kira with a gaze of profound understanding and relief. Arthur, typically meticulous and composed, had spent the night in a frantic, resolute search, propelled by the desperate hope of reuniting Lily with her iPad, and the surprising integrity of the young girl who had called him. He recognized a familiar strength in Kira, a quiet tenacity that reminded him of his late wife, who had confronted her own challenges with unwavering determination. "Kira, are you all right?" Arthur promptly asked. "I contacted the police immediately after your call to verify. They stated you were arrested for breaking and entering and theft. I had to spend all night to ascertain the situation, contact a lawyer and gather evidence to secure your release." He swiftly elucidated the circumstances to the duty officer, presented proof of Kira's call to him, and emphasized that she merely intended to return lost property. He also furnished documents verifying his ownership of the iPad. After some negotiation, the police finally released Kira. Kira was escorted out of the police station, the morning sunlight appearing brighter than ever. She was still trembling, but an immense sense of relief washed over her. For the first time in her life, she felt a strong hand protecting her. A profound sense of satisfaction diffused through her body. As soon as they exited the police station, Arthur did not take Kira directly home. He guided her to a tranquil little coffee shop nearby. After Kira had consumed a warm breakfast, Arthur looked at her with sincere eyes. "Kira," he said, his voice firm yet warm. "That iPad is Lily's life. You restored the most precious thing to my daughter. I desire for you to have a superior life, a future you truly merit," Mr. Arthur continued. "I wish to offer you a full scholarship through our family's charitable foundation. You will attend school, have a safe dwelling, and we will support you in every conceivable manner. You no longer have to reside on the streets. This is not a reward but an opportunity, a new beginning should you accept." Arthur, a man of deep convictions, perceived in Kira not merely a girl who returned an iPad, but a reflection of the profound goodness he believed still existed in the world. Kira gazed into Arthur's sincere eyes. Tears began to fall. She felt a sensation of awkwardness and embarrassment at receiving such a grand offer, yet interwoven with it was a feeling of unprecedented relief and hope. "I do not know what to say," Kira stammered. "I merely wish to return the iPad to Lily. I did not do this for a reward." The concept of a recompense for doing the right thing felt alien to her. Her actions were simply a matter of adhering to her mother's teachings. Arthur smiled. "I know, and that is what makes you extraordinary. You demonstrated to me that kindness still flourishes in this world. You deserve this chance, Kira." Kira clenched her palms as if making a promise to herself. A thought suddenly ignited, clear as a guiding star. She could transform this kindness into something far greater, disseminate it to those in dire need. She would not keep it to herself. This was her profound choice: to embrace substantial assistance, a life she had never conceived, and in turn utilize it to elevate others. It was a terrifying yet exhilarating leap of faith. "They wish for me to visit. They wish for me to attend school," Kira whispered to herself, tears welling hot upon her cheeks. For the first time in a long while, Kira wept, not from hunger or pain, but from something warmer and brighter than any sunlight. It was hope, the genesis of a new life, a future she had never dared to envision. It took several weeks to finalize the arrangements. Arthur's foundation assisted Kira in obtaining the necessary documentation for her scholarship. Arthur also helped her secure a small, comfortable room near the school he had enrolled her in Sunstone City, not far from his own residence, yet ensuring privacy and independence. The foundation even purchased her 2 new dresses, the first new garments Kira had ever worn. The day she relocated to her new room, a few elderly neighbors who had observed her around the dumpsters came to assist. Their eyes were filled with admiration and a touch of envy. Kira had resided in Sunstone City for 2 months. Although her life had vastly improved, Kira frequently returned to the docks where she once lived to visit Mrs. Santos and other children, bringing modest gifts and tales of hope. She also continued her regular visits to Arthur's house to see Lily. From day one, Kira noted the uneasy gaze of Mrs. Davis, Lily's long-standing nanny, a middle-aged white woman with a sharp demeanor and meticulously pinned hair. She did not articulate it directly, but always harbored disdainful looks and audible sighs whenever Kira passed by. "Be careful with her bare feet," she once muttered, her eyes sweeping over the calluses on Kira's soles with palpable disgust. Mrs. Davis, a woman who prioritized order, cleanliness, and social hierarchy above all else, viewed Kira as an unwelcome disruption to the meticulously maintained world of the Reed household. Kira perceived Mrs. Davis's gaze and words as needles pricking her heart. Sadness and hurt seeped in. Lily would sit beside Kira each morning and watch cartoons. Occasionally the little girl would giggle. Sometimes she would lean her head on Kira's shoulder, a trusting gesture that warmed Kira's heart. One afternoon, Lily was sketching with crayons, creating colorful but abstract forms. Kira gently took her hand and guided it to draw a simple flower. Lily looked up at Kira, her eyes widening in comprehension. Then she smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that melted Kira's heart. It was a small breakthrough, a moment of connection that transcended verbal expression. Kira continued to learn swiftly, particularly in mathematics and reading. Her teacher remarked she possessed a gift, a rare spark, and Kira felt a quiet sense of pride within. However, Kira's life in the house and at school was not always effortless. In her new middle school, Kira found herself an outsider. Some students whispered and pointed, labeling her the charity case. One day during a math class, the teacher posed a particularly intricate word problem that perplexed the entire class. Kira, recalling her mother's lessons, quietly raised her hand and solved it with astonishing speed and precision, elucidating her steps clearly. A few classmates who had previously sneered at her, including a girl named Emily, regarded her with newfound respect. From then on, Emily occasionally sought Kira's assistance with homework and the whispers diminished. Mrs. Davis also frequently observed Kira uncomfortably, sometimes deliberately assigning her unnecessary chores or hinting with remarks like, "She probably isn't accustomed to using a knife and fork correctly, is she?" Kira perceived that subtle discrimination, but she chose to remain silent and perform every task diligently, hoping her hard work would prove everything. One evening, as Kira sat alone in the living room, Arthur joined her. He had noticed Kira's recent quietness. "Kira, how would you feel about remaining here for school? We would like to permanently finance your education. Of course, only if you desire it." Kira was speechless. Her throat tightened. She nodded. Tears streamed down her face. Amidst these tribulations, a door had opened. A beacon of light. A profound sense of relief and gratitude washed over her. And just like that, her life turned a new leaf, cold, crisp, beautiful pages. That night she inscribed in her diary, "Snow feels like the antithesis of hunger and kindness is a pathway. Even amidst walls there are always doors." Her English proficiency improved rapidly, as did her self-assurance. She began baking cookies with Arthur, learning to precisely measure ingredients, and her smile became progressively brighter. She learned to fold clothes neatly and organize bookshelves. She even taught Lily how to playfully balance a bucket of water on her head, a game Lily absolutely adored, eliciting joyful giggles. One day, Kira found Lily quietly attempting to arrange her crayons by color, a task that seemed to frustrate her. Kira sat beside her and gently demonstrated how to group them, vocalizing each color as they proceeded. Lily watched intently, her brow furrowed in concentration. When they concluded, a look of pure satisfaction spread across Lily's face, and she reached out to squeeze Kira's hand, a silent gesture of gratitude that spoke volumes. Lily still did not speak, but she beamed when she was with Kira. They often sat together, Kira reading to Lily, or Lily resting her head on Kira's shoulder while watching cartoons. They shared a connection that required no words, an understanding deeper than any language. Kira patiently guided Lily in utilizing therapeutic applications on the iPad, assisting her in self-expression through images and symbols. Kira's bond with Lily gradually helped her emerge from her shell. Lily's laughter grew more frequent, and her eyes sparkled with an unprecedented vivacity, a small miracle unfolding daily, making Kira feel incredibly moved and proud. One afternoon, with Arthur absent, Mrs. Davis approached Kira. "I require you to supervise Lily all day today," she stated, her tone challenging. "Mr. Reed has an important meeting and I have urgent errands. I expect you to manage without difficulty." She seemed to anticipate Kira's failure, a final test. Lily, sensing the tension, began to grow agitated. Kira, despite her nervousness, led Lily to the garden. She produced a small watering can and demonstrated to Lily how to water the flowers, transforming it into a game. Lily, typically overwhelmed by new tasks, found a calm focus in the repetitive action, even attempting to mimic Kira's gentle humming. By the end of the day, Lily had not only watered all the plants but had also organized her favorite toy blocks into neat rows, a new skill she had acquired from Kira. When Arthur returned, he found Lily calmer than usual, sitting quietly with Kira, organizing her blocks. Mrs. Davis observed from a distance, her usual rigid posture softened. She saw Lily reach out and gently pat Kira's arm, a rare spontaneous gesture of affection. Mrs. Davis witnessed the entire interaction, her eyes transitioning from surprise to astonishment, and finally to deep respect. From that moment onward, her demeanor towards Kira underwent a complete transformation. One morning when Kira was slightly unwell, Mrs. Davis personally brought her a hot bowl of soup, placing it by the bed and quietly saying, "Get some rest. Do not overexert yourself." It was a rare sign of acceptance and care, a bond that had been forged between them. Her gaze towards Kira had transitioned from suspicion to respect, and perhaps even affection. One evening when Arthur was away, Mrs. Davis proactively prepared dinner for Kira and Lily, sat at the table with them, and for the first time inquired about Kira's past life, not with judgmental curiosity but with genuine empathy. She even shared anecdotes from her own past, creating an unexpected bridge between two generations, making Kira feel a warmth spread through her heart. One chilly Saturday afternoon, Arthur handed Kira a new phone. "Someone wishes to speak with you," Kira answered, hearing a deep, emotional voice. "Kira, it's Uncle Robert here. Your mother's brother." Kira gasped. Her heart pounded. She had not heard his voice in years. After her mother passed, the family had dispersed. The raw ache of loss for her scattered kin had always lingered. Hearing her uncle's voice was akin to discovering a lost fragment of her own identity. "I saw you online," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I wept. I prayed. I believed you were gone forever." Kira burst into tears. Hot tears streamed down her cheeks, releasing years of yearning and apprehension. They conversed for over an hour, recounting their years apart. Arthur later contacted Uncle Robert, assisting him in finding stable employment and suitable housing in Sunstone City. Uncle Robert also began participating in community activities and frequently conversed with Kira by phone. Kira hugged Arthur tightly and nodded. "Let us rebuild my connections," she said. An idea that had just ignited in her mind, but now it had solidified into a concrete plan, a profound purpose for her life. At 13, Kira had already delivered speeches at 2 school events, was featured on a major American news channel, and received a letter from the mayor of San Francisco. But she did not allow this to foster arrogance. Instead, she spent most evenings reading to Lily, assisting her with touchscreen applications on a new iPad, the one Kira had given her for her 8th birthday. One afternoon, Kira was showing Lily pictures of animals on the iPad. Lily pointed to a picture of a bird and emitted a soft chirping sound, the first intentional vocalization other than cries or giggles that she had ever produced. Kira's eyes welled with tears of joy and she embraced Lily tightly. On another occasion, while watching a nature documentary, Lily, typically quiet, suddenly reached out and traced the outline of a butterfly on the screen. Then she looked at Kira, a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. Kira took Lily's hand and gently helped her draw a butterfly on a blank page of a notebook, patiently guiding her fingers. Lily giggled, a sound of pure delight, then proudly displayed the drawing to Arthur later that evening, a tangible sign of her increasing engagement with the world around her, facilitated by Kira. "You helped me talk," Lily typed one day on her speech application. "You are my sister." Kira burst into tears. Those were the most meaningful words she had ever heard, living proof of the positive change she had brought about. Arthur later remarked, "Kira, you have accomplished more for my daughter than doctors ever could." But Kira merely smiled. "I simply provided her with what the world neglected to give me: attention, patience, love." By the time Kira reached 14, she barely recognized herself. Her skin was healthy, no longer bruised or parched from starvation. Her hair was neatly braided, no longer matted with street dust. She wore a jacket adorned with a gold-embroidered school emblem, not rags salvaged from refuse. Her lunchbox was filled with strawberries and delicate sandwiches, not expired cookies discovered in a dumpster. But occasionally she would gaze into the mirror and whisper to herself, "Do not forget your origins." She never forgot. Every Sunday she would transmit voice recordings to Mrs. Santos, recounting her classes and life in America, detailing the hardships she had surmounted and the dreams that were expanding. She even sent gifts: solar-powered lamps for homes without electricity, school books for children, small radios so people could listen to the news. The woman who had once offered her a place to rest was now honored as Community Mother of the Year in Sunstone City, thanks to Kira's nomination, a testament to kindness propagating. Kira was not merely constructing a life for herself. She was forging a legacy, a wellspring of hope connecting the past and the future. That summer, Project Haven hosted a televised gala at Carnegie Hall, one of the world's most esteemed venues. Kira was asked to be the keynote speaker. She wore a navy blue gown Arthur had selected, paired with flats to feel more grounded. Her fingers trembled behind the crimson velvet curtain. Arthur squeezed her shoulder. "Just tell them the truth, Kira. Always the truth." The sheer magnificence of Carnegie Hall stood in stark contrast to the dumpsters and alleys of her past. Yet, she carried both worlds within her. As Kira stepped into the spotlight, the room fell silent. Hundreds of eyes turned to her. The most influential men and women held their breath, listening intently. "I originate from a place where aspirations perish. Where dumpsters serve as banquets. Where girls vanish silently, unmentioned, unnoticed. But today I stand here because someone did not abandon me. Because someone perceived a soiled child foraging for food from a dumpster and discerned something more. They saw potential. They saw hope. They saw me." Kira paused, took a deep breath, her voice resonating through the hall. "I am not asserting that every child out there will discover an iPad. I am not asserting that every child will find a family like mine. But I am asserting that with a small measure of kindness, a little consideration, we can effect change. We can forge new paths brick by brick. From despair to hope, from darkness to light. Open your hearts. Every child possesses a narrative. And every narrative deserves to be recounted. Every child deserves an opportunity." Her voice, once silent and unheard, now vibrated with power, not from anger, but from a profound comprehension of human vulnerability and the boundless capacity of compassion. Applause erupted, more vigorous and louder than anything Kira had ever experienced. This time there were not merely tears of emotion, but faces filled with resolute determination. After her speech, a prominent tech entrepreneur approached her, tears in his eyes. "Your story, it is incredibly moving. Project Haven sounds precisely what our city requires. I am committing to a 5-year funding plan to expand Project Haven to 3 additional major cities across the country, commencing next month." Kira nodded, a quiet sense of triumph in her heart. Project Haven had already provided over 500 iPads to underprivileged children in Sunstone City. And one of them, a little girl named Clara, residing in the same dock district Kira once called home, had just learned to read her first complete sentence using the application Kira recommended. Kira had transformed her own life, and now she had transformed the lives of other children, igniting a spark of hope from the very place where darkness once prevailed. Join us to share profound narratives by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Do not forget to activate the notification bell to commence your day with invaluable lessons and heartfelt empathy.